Emma Thompson stood on the porch of her Victorian terraced house in Bath, England, keys still in hand, staring at the two small figures huddled against her front door. The October rain had soaked through their jackets. Lily, 6 years old, clutched a ragged teddy bear. Noah, 4, sucked his thumb, eyes wide with exhaustion. A crumpled note was pinned to Lily's coat. "Emma, I can't do this anymore. I'm drowning. Take care of them. I'll be back when I'm ready." Sarah, Emma's stomach dropped. Her phone was already ringing. Work, her boss demanding the final designs for the new boutique hotel project in London. She ignored it. This wasn't supposed to happen. Sarah had always been the chaotic one, the free spirit who chased artists and musicians across Europe. Emma was the stable older sister, the architect with the steady career, the one who had finally built a quiet life after their parents died. Now, at 34, her carefully ordered world had 2 frightened children on her doorstep. The first 24 hours were pure survival. Emma called every number she had for Sarah. Voicemail. She contacted the police, who took a report but said it wasn't technically abandonment if a family member was there. Social services would visit. She canceled her Monday meetings, bought emergency clothes and food, and turned her spare bedroom into a makeshift nursery. Lily barely spoke. Noah cried for Mummy every few hours. On the 3rd night after both children finally fell asleep, Emma sat on her sofa with a glass of Merlot, staring at the note. Tears stung her eyes. She had always loved her sister, but Sarah's choices, drugs in her early 20s, unstable relationships, 2 children with men who disappeared, had strained their bond. Emma had offered help before. Sarah had always refused. A soft knock at the door startled her. It was nearly 11. She opened it to find her neighbor, Dr. James Harrington, holding a covered casserole dish. Tall, dark-haired, with kind gray eyes and the sort of quiet confidence that came from years as a pediatrician at the Royal United Hospital. He had moved in 6 months ago after his divorce. They had exchanged polite hellos and the occasional wave, nothing more. "I saw the lights on late," he said, voice low. "And well, the whole street saw the children arrive. Thought you might need something warm that isn't pizza." He offered a small smile. "Lasagna, my mum's recipe." Emma's throat tightened. "I don't know what to do, James." I'm not a mother." "You're doing it right now," he replied gently. "May I come in for a minute? Only if you want company." She let him in. They sat at the kitchen island while she ate the lasagna, actually delicious, and told him everything. He listened without judgment, asked practical questions about the children's routines, and offered to check them over medically in the morning. "You're not alone in this, Emma," he said before leaving. His hand brushed hers as he took the empty dish. The touch lingered a second longer than necessary. "I'm right next door, day or night." The weeks that followed blurred into a new rhythm. Emma worked from home as much as possible, redesigning hotel lobbies between school runs and tantrums. Lily slowly opened up, drawing pictures of her mummy and asking when she'd return. Noah attached himself to James like a limpet whenever the doctor came over to help. James became a constant. He taught Noah simple songs on the guitar. He helped Lily with her reading. He brought groceries when Emma forgot, and he stayed late some evenings so she could finish deadlines. Their conversations shifted from practical childcare to deeper things. His failed marriage to a fellow doctor who wanted different things, her fear that she had become too independent to ever let anyone close. One rainy Sunday afternoon, after the children were napping, they sat in her small conservatory with coffee. Golden autumn light filtered through the glass. "I keep thinking Sarah will come back any day," Emma said. "But part of me is terrified she won't. And another part is starting to love them so much it hurts." James set his mug down. "That's not a bad thing, you know. Love rarely fits neatly into our plans." He reached across and tucked a stray curl behind her ear. "You're extraordinary with them, Emma. They're lucky to have you." The air between them thickened. She looked up at him, heart pounding. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. When their lips met, it was soft, tentative, then deeper, months of quiet attraction finally breaking through. He tasted like coffee and safety, and something she hadn't realized she needed. They pulled apart when Noah's sleepy voice called from upstairs. James rested his forehead against hers. "We'll figure this out," he whispered. "All of it." Christmas approached, still no word from Sarah. Social services had opened a case, but Emma was granted temporary guardianship. The children began calling her Auntie Em with increasing affection. Lily started ballet classes. Noah asked for a dinosaur-themed bedroom. Emma and James's relationship grew in stolen moments, kisses in the kitchen while the children watched cartoons, long talks after bedtime, a secret weekend away in the Cotswolds when her friend offered to babysit. He was patient, funny, and steady. He made her laugh on days when the weight of sudden motherhood threatened to crush her, but doubt crept in. Emma worried she was using James as a crutch. He worried his baggage, his ex-wife who still texted occasionally, might complicate things, and always the shadow of Sarah loomed. Then, 2 days before Christmas Eve, Sarah appeared. Emma opened the door to find her sister thinner, eyes haunted, hair dyed an unnatural black. Sarah looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm sorry," Sarah whispered. "I needed help, rehab. I didn't want them to see me like that." The children ran to her, crying. Emma stood frozen, relief and anger warring inside her. James arrived moments later, sensing something was wrong from next door. The conversation was raw. Sarah had been in a program in Manchester. She had hit rock bottom after her latest boyfriend left. She wanted her children back, but admitted she wasn't stable yet. They agreed on a gradual transition with supervised visits and continued support from social services. Emma would remain a huge part of their lives. That night, after Sarah left for a local hotel, Emma broke down in James's arms on the sofa. "I love them," she sobbed. "I don't know how to let go." "You don't have to," he murmured, stroking her hair. "Family doesn't have to look the way you planned. You've built something beautiful here. We've built it." Christmas Eve was magical. The house smelled of pine and cinnamon. Lily and Noah opened presents under the tree, new coats from Emma, a toy stethoscope for Noah from James. Sarah joined for dinner, quiet and grateful. For the first time in years, the sisters talked honestly about their parents' death, their different ways of coping, and the love that had always been there beneath the hurt. After the children were in bed and Sarah had gone, James pulled Emma into the conservatory. Snow had begun to fall outside, soft and silent. He dropped to one knee. "Emma Thompson," he said, voice thick with emotion, "I fell in love with you the night I brought over that lasagna. I love the way you fight for the people you care about. I love how you redesign spaces to make people feel at home. I love the family we're becoming. Marry me. Let's do this properly, messy, beautiful together." Tears streamed down her face as she laughed and pulled him up. "Yes, God, yes." They kissed under the fairy lights, the future stretching out before them, co-parenting with Sarah, raising Lily and Noah with stability and love, building a life that was richer than any blueprint Emma had ever drawn. 6 months later, on a warm June day in Bath Abbey, Emma walked down the aisle in a simple ivory gown. Lily scattered rose petals, Noah carried the rings with serious concentration. Sarah sat in the front row, sober and smiling, holding Emma's hand briefly before the ceremony. James waited at the altar, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. Their honeymoon was 2 weeks in the Lake District, hiking, reading by the fire, and planning the future. They bought a larger house with a garden for the children. Emma's architecture firm flourished with new flexibility. James took on fewer night shifts. Lily and Noah thrived. They called James Uncle Jamie and sometimes, shyly, Dad. Sarah visited every other weekend, rebuilding her relationship with her kids while Emma and James provided the anchor. One quiet evening, years later, Emma stood on the new porch watching James push the children on a swing set he had built. The note from that terrible night was framed in her study, not as a reminder of pain, but of how love could transform even the hardest beginnings. She had been horrified that day on her doorstep, but sometimes the most terrifying moments lead to the most beautiful stories.